trade with U.S. won't magically go back in time, says Dominic Leblanc. Remember when Canada and the U.S. were best friends? Yeah, me too. Good times. Well, grab your maple syrup and buckle up, because Dominic Leblanc just walked into the Senate and basically said, that friendship, it's complicated now. And no, we're not getting the old one back. Welcome to Canada Bulletin, where we break down the news that makes you go, wait, what? Today, we're talking about why your cross-border shopping sprees might never be the same again. So here's the deal. While everyone's been wondering when things will go back to normal with U.S. trade, Canada's trade minister just delivered the political equivalent of a reality check slap. And honestly, it stings a little. On Thursday, Dominic Leblanc, who is basically Canada's designated Deal with America guy, sat down with the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Trade. And when Senator John McNair asked him about trade relations, LeBlanc dropped this gem. The relationship with the United States has fundamentally changed, and it will not magically go back to what may have been a year ago or 25 years ago. Let that sink in. Magically. He actually used the word magically, which is political speak for stop dreaming people. Now, before you panic buy Canadian aluminum and start hoarding softwood lumber in your garage, LeBlanc did say he believes this whole situation is resolvable. So there's hope. Just different hope. Like when your favorite restaurant changes a menu and promises the new stuff will be just as good. Sure, Jan. But wait, because this is politics. We need to talk about the optimism sandwich LeBlanc is serving. You know, where you put bad news between two slices of everything's fine bread. Here's where it gets interesting. Canada's playing 4D chess with a two-track strategy. Track 1, sectoral deals for specific industries like steel, aluminum, and softwood lumber. Track 2, a broader, more comprehensive deal that covers, well, more stuff, LeBlanc told the National Post. Both tracks are still in discussions, which is political speak for we're keeping our options open because, honestly, we have no idea which way this is going. It's like being on a dating app and talking to multiple people at once, because you're not sure which conversation is actually going anywhere, except instead of potential dates. It's trade deals worth billions of dollars. Low stakes, really. And here's the kicker. LeBlanc says it's too early to say which track is more likely. Translation: your guess is as good as mine, and I'm literally the trade minister. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so we're just taking whatever scraps the U.S. throws us? Not quite. Canada's got some cards to play. LeBlanc pointed out something crucial. Canada has leverage. Specifically, our aluminum sector is absolutely critical to the American auto industry. You know, that massive industry that employs millions of Americans and generates hundreds of billions in revenue? Yeah, they need us. They're leverage points, LeBlanc said. There are so many lines of intersection. It's like when you're negotiating with someone who needs your Netflix password. Sure, they could get their own account, but that's expensive and annoying. So you got power. Except instead of streaming rights, we're talking about aluminum that goes into F-150s and Tesla Cybertrucks. Plus, LeBlanc mentioned that Canada's strategy involves throwing energy security, critical minerals, and defense into the mix. Because why negotiate over one thing when you can complicate it with 5? Classic Canadian efficiency. But here's where the strategy gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean potentially brilliant or completely bonkers. Canada might actually be playing a long game here. The thinking? If Trump's tariffs cause significant inflation for American consumers, which, let's be honest, they probably will, Canada's negotiating position improves. It's like waiting for your roommate to realize they can't actually cook and need you to share your meal prep. Suddenly, you're in a much better position to negotiate who does the dishes. So Canada's strategy involves keeping multiple lines of communication open with both American and Mexican officials, staying flexible on deal structures, and basically waiting for American shoppers to start feeling the pinch at checkout. Is it risky? Absolutely. Is it the kind of move that could either look genius or terrible in hindsight? 100%. Now, while all this negotiating is happening, Canada's also facing a harsh truth that economists have been screaming about for decades. The Canadian government is trying to prepare for a world with more U.S. protectionism. Their brilliant solution? Trade diversification. Sell more stuff to Europe. Expand into Asian markets. Reduce dependence on the U.S. Sounds great, right? Except there's one tiny problem. Mark Manger, a professor at UT's Monk School, basically said, LOL, good luck with that. Okay, he used more academic language, but his point was clear. It's extremely difficult to diversify trade. Why? Geography, baby. Canada shares the world's longest undefended border with the U.S. We're literally attached. It's like trying to diversify your relationship with your conjoined twin. Technically possible? Maybe. Practical? Not really. This has been a Canadian challenge since before Confederation. We've been trying to solve this problem for over 150 years. But sure, this time it'll work. So what's actually happening right now while Canada figures out its strategy? President Trump has been throwing tariffs around like confetti at a parade. Countries everywhere are getting hit, and some have already negotiated their way into better arrangements. Canada? We've been somewhat protected by CUSMA. That's the trade deal we have with the U.S. and Mexico. Americans call it USMCA because they need to feel special. It's the same deal, just like how soccer and football are the same sport, but Americans insist on being different. The good news, CUSMA doesn't expire for over a decade. The concerning news, it's up for review next year at its 6th anniversary. And given how things are going, that review could get interesting. Some key Canadian sectors have already been targeted by Washington and are feeling the pain. So while we're not in full crisis mode, we're definitely in this is fine dog meme territory. But Canada's not just sitting around eating poutine and hoping for the best. Ottawa's actually doing stuff. The government is working on improving ports, rail lines, and pipelines to make Canadian exports more competitive. They're trying to break down interprovincial trade barriers. Because apparently, it's easy to trade with